Here we go. Line 5. Ekos sikilos centum. So there was 100 Sicilian horses and centum Cappadocian, and 100 Cappadocians. With the ablative absolute, with the emperor permitting this, he divided these horses to the circus factions, and through these actions, he satisfactorily or greatly became caris dear to the people, who were always moved by talibus, by such things. 6. Cordus, and that's a typo. Cordus says, in all the cities of Campania, Etruria, Umbria, Flaminia, and Picenum, de proprio, from his own piggy bank. What did he do? He produced, through 4 days, a quadritum period, which is 4 days, games which were skenos. So these are stage games, and juvenalia. These are competitions of theatrical competitions or something. And the first one was to commemorate Nero shaving his beard for the first time, and I guess it became a habit after that. 7. He scripted et. He wrote also lauses or praises or eulogies in soluta orations. Soluta versus means prose. In later Latin orations, from the orabit become prayers, but in this stage it was still speeches. So it was loose prose orations. He wrote of all of the antinorums who had come before him. Moreover, he loved the Antonoses, the Antonines, or Antoninus, or however you call them in English, the Antonians. He loved them tantum so much, making it a final clause, that also for himself, as many say, he got the name of Antoninin. As many assert, but he wrote for himself the nomen Antoni. So this one here has a double N in it, and this one here, Antonius, without the extra N, however you want to interpret that. 8. Jam illud satis constat. Now it is satisfactorily constat, agreed, that his son, by the name of Gordianum, he illustrated, he lightened him or made him more famous with the name of Antinius, when apud the prefectum aeri, so this is the treasury of the prefects, the prefectorial treasury in the mores, in the customs Romano, in the Roman custom. He professed this son in the public actus, which is the public, so he's inserted into the, what do you call it, actuaries or something, or the rolls or something. He inserted this name for his son. Okay, so 5, after the public records. After his consulship, after his consulship, they call it, he was factus est, made proconsul of Africa, and ad nitentibus, and nitentibus is usually efforts or something. So the efforts of all cunctus, who the imperium of Alexander was probably the one who sent him to Africa, they wanted him to be considered clarum, which is famous or held in high respect, and for the dignity or honour of the proconsulship. God, I'm having trouble speaking today. Okay, so they wanted the reign of Alexander to seem better, so this was the guy they chose to send. Extant epistola, so there's a letter still extant, still existing, of Alexander himself, in which, qua, he gives gratias, he gives thanks to the fourth declension Senate, that they had destina vered, that they had declared Gordianum to be proconsul, and they'd sent him to Africa. 3, of which this is a example, this is an extract from this letter. Should be am, I believe. Neither is quicquam anything more pleasing to me, partes conscriptae in vocative initials, nor were you able to efficere, do anything more sweeter, more pleasing, you might want to say, than that you would mitteres, you would send Antonium Gordianum, the proconsul, to Africa. He's a virum nobilem, he's a noble man, magnanimous, great in spirit, desertum, he speaks well, he's eloquent, he's just, he's got self-control, he's got continentiam, and he's good. And the reliquar, that's the stuff not in the extract, from which it's apparent. And we'll scroll down somewhere down here. So from which it's apparent how great a man eo tempore at this time Gordianus had been. He was a mardos est, he was loved by the Africans, ita ut correlatives, just as no one before who had been a proconsul had, ita ut, just as some called him, allies the nominative, eums the accusative, just as others had said that called him a Scipio, or others had called him a Cato, and many had called him a Mucius, and Rutilius, or even Laelius. And there's probably information you can get on all of them by Googling. Extant. There still exists an acclamatio of these, which are related, or been relayed to us, in letters by Junius. For when, in a quadam die, on a certain day, he was reading the imperial deeds or acts, and he began on this bit from the proconsuls Scipios, the ones that have existed in the past, and there rose an acclamatum, a bit of a shouting, looks like it's in the dative, to the new Scipio, the true Scipio, the proconsul Gordianus. So it's dative. These and other things he frequently heard, all of it. 6. And he was, indeed, Roman in his longitude. So in his height he was a Roman norm, I guess. In the whiteness or greyness, his canates, he was decorous, he was handsome, maybe with a bit of white or grey hair, and he was very pompous looking in his face, a bit showy, extravagant. He was red more than white in Vultu, so a bit more red than pale or something. His face was well wide. It was so I guess he had a round face. In his eyes and his face and his forehead is to be verendated, is to be respected. Of his body, the quality was a bit fat. Sub in front of things usually means a little bit. So crassulus looks also diminutive, so a little bit fat, and he was bordering on fat maybe. So here's a adjective for the daily dictionary: pompalis, showy, pompous, and splendid, which is this word here in his face. Anyway, 2. Ita ut correlatives. It was moderate in his customs and his habits, so much so, ita ut, that you're able to say nothing, that he, either by desire or in desire or modesty, or he did excessively. So you weren't able to complain that he had any of those characteristics. 3. There's an adverb uniquely. So he loved with his affections, suos means his own group of people, his family loved with a good affection. His son and grandson, beyond the normal mores, beyond the normal amount of loving. We seem to have a typo again. His daughter and his neptem, his granddaughter, he loved religiously, or very well devoted, or something like that. 4. Soccoro suo, dative or ablative, singular. He deferred, looks like it's dative, he deferred to his father-in-law, Ennius Severus, tantamut, correlatives again. So much so that in this family, as if he believed himself to have migrated over to this family as a son. And so never, with his father-in-law, Eo, this guy up here, did he wash, so he didn't bathe with this guy, nor did he sit in his presence, Ilo presence, before he became a praetor. So guess he felt he belonged then.